my name is Ralph Jung, and today I want to talk about that famous Brown sound by Eddie Van Halen and how I came up with my version of that sound. After quite some research, I realized I never get close to the equipment Eddie has used back in 1978. So I decided to replace the missing links with equipment which was available to me. Eddie has used his Ibanez Destroyer equipped with Maxim Super 70 pickups. So we have a solid body guitar and pickups which were basically PAF clones, according to Fritz Kato, who was a designer at Ibanez back in the days. Eddie also used a light set of strings in tune down to E flat and used Halen Brownsound's Flex 75. My choice here is my Gold Top Les Paul equipped with PAFs and Elixir 9-46 strings, tuned down a half step. For amps, Eddie used his famous Super Lead, which is, according to many sources in the internet, a 1968 Super Lead Plexi. Again, my choice here is the same style of amp, it's a 68-69 style Super Lead Mark II. Just like Eddie, I also reduced the voltage using a Variac, and since I am in Europe, I am at about 170 to 180 volts instead of our normal 230 volts, which translates to the 110 volts and the 80 to 90 volts in the US. Well, I hope. Electricity, after all, is a very complex topic, especially when it comes to tube amps. When it comes to pedals, it gets a bit uncertain, but let's give it a shot. The signal chain after his guitar output was an Echoplex, then a Boss GE10 into the front input of his Plexi. We are talking about his studio setup and not his live setup, which is much better documented. His studio setup remains to be a bit unclear. I saw plenty of pictures of his live pedal board. There was an MXR flanger, an MXR phaser, there was some kind of a distortion box, probably also an MXR. But when it gets to his studio equipment, people claim it was only the Echoplex and the Boss GE10. Since an old Echoplex is hard to find and people tell me it's also hard to keep alive, I used an MXR Echoplex delay and a preamp. For this video though, I only used the MXR preamp. I managed to find an original GE10 from 1977, which is unfortunately very noisy. Last but not least, the internet says that Eddie used Celestion blackbacks and JBL DR120F speakers in his 4x12. Both speakers were closed mic'd with the SM57. I used a Celestion greenback and mic'd this speaker with an Austrian Audio OC818 and used a special recording technique I'd like to share with you in a second. I couldn't risk blowing my vintage Celestion blackback. They're rated 30 watts and I play a 100W Plexi pretty much on 10. I did not want to attenuate the Plexi as Eddie timed it as well, so I went for a 65W greenback, which is to my ears sonically in the ballpark of a blackback. But I still wanted to bring in that sound quality from the JBL and the blackback, which is why I used the OC818 to compensate. To fill in the missing links, I used a feature the Austrian Audio mic offers. Using the front and the back diaphragm of the OC at the same time to pick up your guitar sound, you can print a stereo track into your DAW. I placed the mic a little off the center of the greenback and designed the sound after the recording with the tool Austrian Audio gives you, which is called Polar Designer. It is much like the reamping procedure, which we guitar players are probably more familiar with. Now that I have my basic sound, there are still a few things missing. First I needed a room sound, then I needed a blade reverb, and then I needed to pan the guitar right and the effects left, or vice versa, to match the recording from 1978. It is said that Eddie pumped his guitar through a PA speaker in a separate room and mic'd that sound source from a distance to capture a room effect. I used to use a Kettner Era 2 and placed it at the bottom of my staircase and mic'd it from the other side of the staircase. The Era 2 is supposed to be an acoustic guitar amplifier, but it does a pretty good job as a PA speaker as well. Next I added a plate reverb and panned the guitar left and the guitar right to emulate the sound image you can hear on the Van Halen 1 recording. I'm pretty happy with my version of the Brownsound I got using this rather unorthodox recording technique. That whole journey was a lot of fun. I tried to get as close as possible to the original Brownsound. Please check out Austrian Audio microphones. They offer a lot of usable and innovative features to record literally any sound source there is. I hope you liked that video and check me out in the future. See you soon. Cheers.